The Torah in this week's Parsha of Emor tells us that the Emor offering is to be brought the day after the Shabbat of Pesach. The sages understood this to mean the day after the first Chag, holiday of Pesach, and not literally the day after the first Shabbat of Pesach, which would be the first Sunday after the holiday of Pesach. If the day that the Emor offering is brought is understood to be the day after the Chag rather than the Shabbat, why then does the Torah refer to this day as Shabbat instead of Chag? Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch explains that the phrasing is to teach us an essential idea about the nature of Shabbat. Shabbat is not just a day of rest. It is something much, much more. To begin with, time as we see and experience it is not linear, but cyclical or spiral. Yes, we have time periods. They can be long or short. Example of time periods can be days, weeks, months, years. Note that there will always be a beginning and an end. But after the end is reached, the beginning starts anew. Every time period has a point of renewal. What then is Shabbat? Shabbat is to take that renewal, that point in time where the end meets the beginning to start again, and dedicate that point in time to God. For example, for the week, we have what we call the Shabbat. For years, we have the sabbatical year, Shemitah, as well as the Jubilee, Yovel. Rav Hirsch continues and says that the same is true for holidays. Each holiday also represents a time period. Pesach represents a time period of redemption. Sukkot represents a time period of joy. Time periods, however, can also be for what we think of as more mundane. When the Torah writes that the Emor offering follows the Shabbat, it is referring to the time period that ends and starts with Pesach, the time to reap, as expressed by one of the other names for Pesach, Chag HaKatzer, the festival of reaping. So by referring to the holiday as Shabbat, the Torah is teaching us as to the nature of a Shabbat, dedicating that renewal time to God. At the same time, it is also showing us that even after a time cycle for something as mundane as reaping, we also dedicate that time period to God and sanctify it by having and calling it a Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.